What is going on, my friends? Today I'm going to be going over how the rich buy luxuries using assets and how typically most people do it as well, and which way works really well and why you should stick away from what most people do. So what do most people do to start with? And stick around to the end because I'll go through step by step how to do this whilst building wealth and living the lifestyle that you want to lead. So firstly, what most people do is they go, I want a car, right? And I'm going to spend $60,000 on a car. So if we chuck 60K up here, and they go, all right, I'm going to get a car loan for this. So I'm going to get a 60K car loan, and I'm maybe going to get it over, let's go 5 years here. Now, a 60K car loan over 5 years, depending on your interest rate, you might be paying about, let's call it $300 per week. Now, $300 per week, if we look at what could $300 per week get you, okay? $300 per week could almost get you, that's maybe 75% of a loan to get an investment property valued at 400K currently, okay? So for that money there, you could, actually let's just change that. Let's make that a 300K small investment property, maybe a 2 or a small 3-bedroom place, depending where you're buying, definitely not Sydney. All right, so when you look at these two, one of these is a depreciating asset. So after 5 years, you have this depreciating asset, you've got this car, well, what's it gonna do? And what do most people do when their loan finishes after 5 years? They buy another one. So they go and they get another 60K loan and they buy another car. They sell that one, they may get, I don't know, $20,000 for it. They get a loan now, that's a 40K loan. So now again, they're just stuck in this cycle and you can see that they're going round and round and round and they're not really getting anywhere. They're not really building any wealth over time because they want this first. They want to have the car first. But what do wealthy people do? Wealthy people look at it the other way around. So if I just rub that out, wealthy people do it this way. And this is the way that I love to do it and the way that I teach my students to do it is you take that same money, but let's go a little bit more. Let's go 400,000. So we're going to go $400 a week per week. And we're going to get a 400K investment property. So you've got a house here sitting like this. And what we want to do is we want to buy an investment property typically that has more land. So we're not trying to buy a brand new place. We're not buying a nice little townhouse on a small piece of land. What we want is we want to typically find an older building, an older, smaller building on a large block of land. So when we look at the value, right, it's not a $300,000 house on a $100,000 block. It is a $100,000 house on a $300,000 block. Now, the reason for this is that houses, if we look at the house itself, houses depreciate. So houses depreciate over time. And sometimes we get stuck in trying to think about, well, we want heaps of depreciation. And in order to offset tax, we go for depreciation. Now, depreciation is only going to help us so much because there's only so much tax we can save. What we want to be looking at is appreciation. And the reason we look at a larger block of land is because they're not making land anymore. The amount of land we have now is the amount of land that's going to be there in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And as the population increases, what's going to happen is that land becomes more and more valuable, inflation, etc. So we've got the land, which is the appreciating asset here. So what we do is instead of buying that expensive car to start with, we go, well, we can buy our Toyota Corolla for now, and we can drive a $5,000 car and get around. Now, let's say over a 5-year period, this has now gone up to $550,000, which isn't unrealistic. So 550K. Now, what that means now is we now have 550K, take away the 400K, we have $150,000, 150K in equity. Now, what we can do with that equity is we can do one of a few things. We can actually take that out. We can have a split loan, which is where we split it from the current investment property. And because we don't want to cross-collateralize, we don't want things linked together, but we'll go over that in another video, don't worry about that. So we've got this split loan now. Now this split loan, we can either go and buy, like I said, another investment property over here, because we had $150,000 to play with because we were assuming we owned 10 or 20% of the house previously. So we can either go and we can fund another investment property and grow our portfolio, or what we could do is we can go, all right, well, if I'm going to buy another investment property, that's going to cost, let's say, $100,000 down payment. So we've got $50,000 left over. So now we put this $50,000 here, 50K, into a car. And we're also borrowing it at the interest rate that our home loan is at, or our investment property loan is at. So if we're looking at, say, 7 to 8%, which is not unrealistic for a car loan these days. And home loan being, let's call it 4% conservatively, it's a lot cheaper to do it that way. And I know over a longer period of time, you will pay more interest on that. But what it's about and what we're thinking here is keeping our repayments down in the short term, because we're going to get more appreciation in the long term. Because ideally, when we buy that second investment property, again, we're buying for more land. So the land area is going up in price. And we can do it again and again. And you can see here, we now have a $50,000 car that we haven't actually put any money down for ourselves. And we did this and we funded this completely by buying an investment property, allowing it to appreciate. So we've got to pick the right property. So it's got to be in an area that is going to go up in value. Jeez, almost fell over there, golly gosh. It's gonna go up in value. And we do that by buying more land value than property value. So I hope you got something out of this. I'd love to hear in the comments below what you took from this and what you're looking to get out of this. Start thinking in the investor mindset, in the wealthy people mindset. Because if you're looking at, I want that luxury life now, unless you have a really, really high income, you're gonna get stuck in that circle. You're gonna keep going round and round and round, and you're never gonna get out of that. Okay, but if you can come down here, you can buy good investments that are going to appreciate over time. You can then leverage off those investments, borrow against it, get split loans, live the life you want to lead at the same time as building wealth. I'll see you in the next video, my friends.